Right, everybody, hello and welcome to the first ever French Island football podcast. History is going to be made today. This is going to be the one that we look back at and either cringe at how horrible we were or praise how fantastic we've been from the off, and hopefully you guys are here to join us for that ride as well. I'm not alone though. I'm joined by Branson Gibson. Branson, thank you so much for jumping in with us, mate. Very excited to get this started.
Me too, Sean. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good fun. I've heard the weather in Melbourne's pretty rainy, but it's looking pretty good here on French Island, I must say.
Yeah, we did agree to meet at the beach and we both head to opposite beaches on different ends of the island, but still, backdrop looks absolutely fantastic. I'm sure people are going to be thrilled and our business will be booming. So before we get stuck in, you know this, I know this, but the people that are listening probably don't know this. French Island, of course, a booming football economy, the Football Association that was put together in 2005, initially was put together to try and join the Hyundai A-League. We put together a comprehensive bid book. It had pretty much every category qualified, substantiated, ready to go. As is customary in the island, we placed that bid book in a bottle and we threw that bottle into the ocean, and we never heard anything back on our expansion bid or our A-League bid. We're still waiting to hear back, but as the league has grown, as different things like, different providers, Paramount Plus now coming into it, we realise that we need to have our own media outlet here on the island if we're going to really make it to the top of Australian football. And that's what this is going to be. We're effectively going to try and bring everybody Australian football news, opinion, fan views, all that sort of stuff each and every week as we head towards a new A-League season and a new A-League era in more ways than one. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff we're going to cover off. It's going to be fantastic, and we've got some really exciting things that I think are going to come up for people in the next few weeks. But Branson, before we jump in to some of the big headlines for this week, what are your thoughts on the podcast? What are your thoughts on the A-League off-season so far? Some of the big news that we've had coming up, and what you hope that we'll get sorted today?
Well, I'm really excited to jump on the podcast. To start it off, I think it's going to be really good fun. Looking forward to all the discussions, all the banter, all the things we're going to be able to explore together, mate, when it comes to Australian football. In regards to the off-season, it's been a mega off-season. You mentioned some of the headlines that we're going to talk about later on. There's obviously too much to fit into one episode, so fortunately we have got a few episodes to go over some of the big topics. But I'm excited. You mentioned at the start a bit of a new era, and it does feel like that.
So on that note, I reckon it's probably time to jump into our headlines of the week. Now, you're going to bring us some of the biggest headlines that have taken place, not just in the past week, but potentially in the last couple of weeks, with, as you mentioned, like so much huge stuff happening in the world of Australian football. If you want to bring us through the first one, we might just have a chat about it and then get our thoughts collectively. But what have you got for the list for us this week?
Well, the first one is obviously the biggest news probably coming out this week. It actually came out yesterday, and that is talking about the unifications of the leagues. So the A-League is no more, the W-League is no more. It's the A-Leagues with A-League men and A-League women. And I think it's super exciting. I think it's a good initiative, a good forward step, personally. That's my opinion, mate. But that's the big news sort of coming out here. There's a new logo incorporated. It sort of seems like everything is sort of fitting under the one brand. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Obviously, anywhere, this is the challenge, right? Like anytime you introduce something like this, it's not that you've got to try and get the people who are supporters and on board with it. It's always kind of like the lowest common denominator fans that you've really got to get invested. And as far as I'm aware, and we spoke about this a little bit yesterday when it was announced, this is the first real large scale national level competition that I think has introduced the word men's into their competition at any point. The Premier League is still just the Premier League. The AFL, the NRL locally, they're the AFL and NRL. They've added a W for their women's competition. But this is the first time really that I think we've seen any top tier sporting organisation anywhere in the world. I'm happy to be corrected on Twitter or in the comment section below by all of you guys that are watching along, that they've adopted that. And I thought the feedback to that, and admittedly I'm on Twitter and I know Facebook's a little bit of a different world when it comes to these things, but I thought the positive feedback was pretty, well heartening for the season, that most people were on board with it. And in some other areas and some other sports and codes where people might have been really upset about the use of the phrase men's relating to the competition, everyone seemed pretty much on board with it from the off, which is fantastic. It's great recognition for our female athletes, great recognition for, I think, all the hard work the Matildas have done in the last 10 years, really trying to build women's football right to the tippity top of all of the forefront of our minds, heading into a World Cup cycle as well. That's obviously huge as well. So I think fantastic move. We're really starting to see, with the unbundling of the leagues themselves and the leagues operating independently of Football Australia, them able to do a lot of the different things that we speculated on for years, but really put them into motion and start to see some of that momentum build. So I think it's only a good thing. I'm not 100% sold on the logo, but we might get some of your feedback with that. You're the kit guy, you're the aesthetic guy. Like, what were some of your thoughts with that?
The logo, I don't mind it. It's inoffensive, but I just think it's a bit. It doesn't scream a football logo to me. Like you look at that and it doesn't instantly sort of remind you of football.
Yeah, shout out to Adelaide building contractors or whoever that company was over on Twitter, who immediately has lost all rights to using their logo for the rest of their life.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's funny. I did see that on Twitter as well. So I don't know. I don't love it, but it's simple. It's basic. You know, I think it's the bigger picture of what the unification means. That's a big thing. I think the idea of coming together and being one united football group. I think that's really good. Rather than the W League and the A League and the Y League and the E League and everything sort of being all under the same banner. I actually thought that the A-League and the W League, or Football Australia, whatever you want to call it, did a really good job of staying incorporated. So I think this sort of just takes it to another level. Like, I don't think it was too disjointed personally. That's just my opinion. But I think this is a good step.
Yeah, the thing with logos as well is that, like, sometimes your instant reaction isn't necessarily the correct one, because it's like with time, as you get used to that logo and as it becomes synonymous with the league. Like, if we have the best league season that we've had in forever, if we get these additional expansion sides for the women's competition, if we get additional expansion sides being successful, which I think is a big part of it as we get through some of the further discussion in these topics, then people are going to be synonymous with the success of the league and the growth of the league and the development, and then it becomes like a beloved logo. What I am hopeful of, we had in the previous logo set like customized color palettes for the logo for each individual kit. And we're going to talk about kits a little bit later in this episode, but I really hope as we see more of those coming out that same like colorway and color pattern. We've already seen some gold ones for the reigning champions, but I really hope that that logo isn't always going to be in that A-League specific color set or just a generic white or whatever else. I really hope they do get some sort of like customization to it for each individual club, because I think that helps build resonating identity with all the different fan groups and stuff as well. But yeah, huge news, really positive, super excited to see what it means. And so far, so good in terms of feedback. If you disagree though, let us know down in the comment section below or over on Twitter. We're always welcome to other ideas. What else have you got in our headlines, Branson?
Well, the other big news from the off-season, probably the biggest news, was the announcement of a new broadcasting deal. Obviously, the A-League signing with Paramount Plus as their new broadcast sponsor. It wasn't just the A-Leagues, it was the Matildas, it was the Socceroos. I think they've got rights to AFC Champions League games, they've got FFA Cup games, they've got international friendlies, everything. And it's just a mega deal. Obviously, we knew last year that Fox and Foxtel were pulling out, and so there was a lot of speculation as to who was going to fill the void. And Paramount Plus have stepped up. And I mean, Sean, what have been your impressions early? We've seen some FFA Cup broadcasts. We've seen some Socceroos broadcasts as well. What have you made of Paramount Plus? What does this deal mean for the future of the league? And yeah, just talk me through it, mate.
Yeah, I mean, tough for us on French Island because we've still only got like ADSL 2 internet from back in the day. We still have to dial in via phone lines.
But just quickly though, how good is our internet working for this stream here?
Yeah, I mean, the recording part's fine. It's going to take me a week and a half to upload it to YouTube, but that's fine. We'll work through that as we go. So this will be old news by the time it comes out to everybody on YouTube and Spotify. But yeah, look, I think super exciting stuff. And I think the good part is that they've definitely listened to a lot of the fan base. Like the first person that they announced as part of that production team, of course, Simon Hill, synonymous with so many fantastic football memories in this country. He was really like, if you were going to write down the people that they had to sign and they had to get on board, I don't think there's many people out there that wouldn't have had him at the tippity top of their list. So I think that part has been quite good. There was, I think, a little bit of conversation earlier in the week about, the amount of money that people are paying for the different subscription services and stuff. But if you were able to get an A-League membership and get one of the cheap discounted 12-month periods for Paramount Plus, it's actually a really cost-effective solution. Arguably the cheapest that Australian football has ever been to watch, if you include the previous Fox packages where you had to buy like the generic $25 package and then $25 more to try and get the sports package. And don't give any more money to Murdoch Media because you don't need to. But Like that part is really exciting as well. And the big part, which I think is going to be huge, is the free to air access to games, even if it is just going to be that Saturday night. And they are changing up their broadcast schedule to have 2 games on simultaneously. I think just that accessibility that if someone's like got a Saturday night where there's not really any other sports on, they're just flicking through channels or whatever else, we're going to get new, I don't want to use the term casual because that's incorrect, but we're going to get new eyes on the product that haven't necessarily had that ease of access previously. And so far, even outside the Paramount Plus portion, Channel 10 have been fantastic, I think, about really trying to promote the league. It's such a weird feeling going into season 16 of the A-League to be talking about for the first time like actual marketing budgets and like players appearing on television shows and all that sort of fantastic stuff. That's part and parcel of the game everywhere else in the world, but for us, we just haven't really experienced. But how have you enjoyed their initial offering?
I thought it's been great. A couple of points that you mentioned there that I want to touch on. I think if you subscribe, it's $9 a month. But then as well, if you're an existing club member, there's discounts. I think you can get it for $60 for the whole year or $75, something like that. It varies on the club, but it is rather cheap. You know, we've seen with Stan Sports with the Champions League, I think that's like $25 a month. So there's been a lot of negative feedback about how much football fans in this country have to pay to watch content. So I think $9 a month is a great price, and if it's cheaper for members, that's even better. I think that's fantastic. The thing that I'm excited about is sort of the new energy that Paramount Plus are bringing in. The past couple of seasons with Fox and Foxtel, it felt like the A-League, the W League was sort of an afterthought. We saw how many gaffes last year with the W League coverage, the saxophone guy, the
tuba guy. How dare you? Tuba guy.
Sorry,
and he's never far from my thoughts. I'm always thinking about tuba guy. We'll see what the next one will be, but hopefully like things like that are in the past for us.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we saw with Fox, like it just felt like they didn't care. But it feels like with Paramount Plus and with 10 that they're excited. They've got these great initiatives, as you said as well, going out and getting Simon Hill. That's a fantastic thing to do as well. You mentioned being on free to wear. We've seen it mentioned on news programs as well. What's the one with Waleed Ali? I can't remember.
The Project?
Yeah, that's it. Like interviews with players. And I think it was like John Aloisi was officially announced as like the Western United coach on 10 News, stuff like that as well. So I think that's really, really good. Cracking that sort of mainstream media as well. I think it's fantastic. I think Paramount Plus have some exciting ideas, and it's just good to have someone on board who is invigorated and has sort of like a vision to developing the league as well, where I think, Fox got a bit stale at the end.
Yeah, and hopefully we get like Mark Bosnich with a 3-month guest stint on Neighbours or something like that before the end of the year is like, I don't know, Toadie's love interest or something to that effect. We'll see how it goes, but the integration so far has been fantastic. One last headline we can't go through 1 week in football without going through some sort of soccer Twitter drama that has kind of unfolded over the past 7 days. But what's the last headline that you got for us?
Well, this is a big one. We saw last week Western United came out and said that they were going to be playing some home games this upcoming season at Lakeside Stadium. No sooner had they announced that than South Melbourne, who obviously play at Lakeside Stadium here in Melbourne. Sorry, not here in Melbourne. We're in French Island, up in Melbourne. Sorry, beg your pardon. South Melbourne came out and said a statement saying that they were not on board with this, that they didn't support the decision, that they weren't informed. I can't remember exactly what their statement said, but they pretty much said that they would be doing everything in their power to make sure Western United do not play at Lakeside Stadium. So, mate, that was just a whole drama. It just all unfolded in the one day. Western United, they can't seem to get a lot right at the moment. They've played games in Geelong, in Ballarat, in Tassie. They played games at Amy Park last year. They've got this great idea where all of a sudden they're going to play at Lakeside, and no sooner they come out and announce it than South Melbourne hit back. So what did you make of the whole situation, and what's your opinion? Who's in the right here? Do you reckon you're on Western United's side or South Melbourne's?
Firstly, I'm amazed that we made 13 minutes through the podcast before we accidentally let Melbourne slip. I'm sure that will happen 600 other times before Neo and the end of the episode. But
we've only just moved.
We've only just moved, yeah. We're still getting Wi-Fi set up. We haven't even got our electricity connected yet. It's while we're on the beach. Look, I thought it was fascinating, but I also think there's like an element of gamesmanship. All the sides that are in the A-League we want to do well. Regardless of how Western United were entered into the competition, the dramas with their stadium, the continued negative feedback that they're getting from basically every corner of fan bases across the league. Some of it is earned because I don't think their PR department does these things very effectively or very well. Like this is the fourth or fifth kind of thing that I think has just kind of like eked its way out. Victor Sanchez leaving. They released a statement saying that he was sick of lockdowns. And I'm like, what does that achieve? Like, what does that actually, like benefit anybody for all the people that are Victorian and stuck here and like we don't have the ability to go and fly to Spain and live there? So I don't understand really the reasoning behind that. I think some of their messaging around like player contracts, the Max Burgess drama and stuff from last year, definitely needs work. So I think their PR department isn't always the most effective. And then since then, not just South Melbourne, but Melbourne Knights also came out and said, yeah, we spoke with Western United, but there was no study done about the quality of our stadium. Whereas the Western United CEO, whose name is Chris Pavlanis, I think, or something, happy to be corrected again in the comment section, had come out and said, oh yeah, we did a feasibility study and Melbourne Knights Stadium wasn't applicable. And Melbourne Knights were like, no feasibility study was ever done. I think to a certain extent, Western United had gone through it at the appropriate route, which is going through the trust at Lakeside Stadium, who do allocate different time and different space to different clubs. But then at the same time, they announced that without necessarily understanding completely the veto power that South Melbourne had. And to be honest, I think this will still go ahead. And I think Western United will play games at Lakeside. But I think to the other side, South Melbourne also want to present themselves like they are trying to resist it as much as possible to their fan base, which we know is very vocal and very passionate. So that they're saying that, no, we're fighting for our home. We're fighting to bring A-League football here for us, not for other people. So no one's covered in glory. Both Western United and South Melbourne kind of make themselves look a little bit inept in different ways. And also the fact that, is this the first South Melbourne heard of it, this statement coming out? Did they know about it beforehand? Like, there's no one looks great in this aspect, but after the Melbourne earthquake, it's given us something to talk about for 4 or 5 days. So as football keeps on rolling and the different dramas seem to come out, I do love watching stuff like this kind of play out in real time. It's fantastic to see. And if they can ever get themselves an FFA Cup tie against each other, it is going to be an absolute cracker, because those natural rivalries that are building between the top tier and the NPL clubs, like, that's that real kind of fire and that real desire that makes a natural derby, not a manufactured Battle of the Bridge, not a manufactured Southwestern derby in Sydney. Like, we really want to see these natural rivalries starting to progress and grow. So it's all exciting stuff as far as I'm concerned.
It is. It's crazy. The thing that just blows my mind is, you mentioned it from Western United. Did they not talk to South Melbourne FC before this and sort of run it by them, or go like, hey, we're going to announce this, are you on board, or something? Like, I don't know, it just seems ridiculous or crazy that they might not have just double checked to say, hey, are you going to torpedo this, or are you going to come out and be on board? Like, I would have thought that would have something that you would have thought of in advance, but I mean, apparently not. On South Melbourne though, I can understand why they would be very reluctant to let Western United play at their stadium. Like, if you think about it, during the bidding process, they lost out to Western United, and the big thing in Western United's pitch was that they were going to build their own stadium, and that hasn't happened. So all of a sudden, you're helping out the bid that beat you to play at your stadium, when they said, the reason why they got into the league in the first place was because they weren't going to play there, they were going to play at their own venue. So I can see why that would certainly irk South Melbourne. Of course, as well, Lakeside is in South Melbourne. It's not in the west, so it's not exactly a great venue for Western United. I mean, it's not Amy Park, but it's a bit of a shambles, mate. It's a bit of a classic peak A-League moment in the off-season. I did enjoy it.
These are peak Western United moments. Like, this has been basically them the whole way through. The interesting fact is, I think Diamante lives on Chapel Street, so it's like a 5-minute drive for him. He's going to be absolutely thrilled, or he's going to be devastated, because we know his Instagram playlists on the 45-minute drive out to Caroline Springs have kind of been the highlight for everybody for quite a bit. The interesting part, though, is that after this all blew up, immediately the Western United CEO, and I won't butcher his name again, he came out and said that now they're looking at potentially moving their training base and playing some games in Essendon at Windy Hill at the AFL complex. So it really feels from their perspective like they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants and figuring stuff out on a daily basis, it feels like. Like, there's no long-term strategy and vision. They did put out, as you mentioned, the stadium, like an announcement that groundworks were going to begin, but it's not. It's actually the council are going to resurface a road so that it can be graded for hire vehicles to eventually one day maybe make a stadium, but at the moment they haven't actually got council approval for any of their plans. So it's a crazy one, and you do feel for. And here's the thing, right? If this was Melbourne City or Melbourne Victory, it may have been approached differently. I think the fact that it's Western United and they did take an A-League position from teams like South Melbourne, like Wollongong, expansion bids in Canberra, Tasmania, ourselves in French Island. Like there's that much, like there's that additional little bit of kind of spite that comes with it that really they need to operate, I think, on a higher level of professionalism that they just haven't really met yet. So yeah, long live these Twitter feuds, long live these weird beefs and these weird statements that we get from all these different parties. I'll be fascinated to see where Western United actually line up. And I would assume that whoever Western United play, if they do play games at Lakeside, they're probably going to have 2,000 to 3,000 South Melbourne fans supporting their opposition in the away end. And for me, that could either be good for the atmosphere at those games. So let it crack on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mate, those are three big headlines. As we said at the start, it's been a mega off-season. There's so much to talk about. We've got plenty more episodes coming up. We'll tick through some of those other big off-season headlines as we go along. But those are the three sort of main ones that we had breaking this week and over the off-season. But we've got another segment coming up next, mate. What is it?
It is the French Island Hall of Fame. We haven't had any issues building our infrastructure here on French Island because it's mostly paddocks and just a shitload of koalas. But in that Hall of Fame, we do need to have some inductees to start rounding it out a little bit. We want to fill that cabinet. We want to get those plaques on the walls. So what we're going to do, Bran, is we're each going to nominate each week a Hall of Fame nomination. And we might do something a little bit different for this week, but most weeks we'll be putting this out to either a Twitter poll or to a Patreon poll if you want to get involved and support the channel a little bit further. More on that to come at the end, so that people can start beginning selecting the inductees to the Hall of Fame. We'll put together some different graphics and stuff like that to show you guys who's in there and who's out there each week. The A-League is the meme league, or the A-Leagues now are the meme leagues. We spoke about Tuba Guy already. We've spoken about Western United Stadium. All these sort of things are Hall of Fame moments in the history of the league itself. If you were going to nominate a first inductee into the French Island Hall of Fame, who do you think you'd be nominating and why?
It's a tough one. I want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
I want you to go first.
Well, what if we do the same one? Because that's always the potential that I pick the one that you're going to pick, which I might do because I think I know what you're going to go after. And then potentially you'll have to scramble and think of one on your own.
All right, well, you go first and it can be a consensus.
All right, I'm going for, it's an easy one because I think this person has given us a myriad of moments in the game. I think their social media is fantastic. I think their presence at matches is fantastic. I think the way that they've elevated their club is fantastic. And it has to be Marvin the Mariner, old Marvin over on Twitter. We have had interactions with him before over there. He's always been a positive supporter. We look forward to one day welcoming him to French Island to try and get him in an A-League match down here. But I think he would be like a nailed-on first inductee candidate, just to get him in there, get it done, get it out of the way. It's a clear and obvious one as far as I'm concerned. And then we can get into some of like the incidental stuff that comes up week to week and really getting those people in there. I'm denied about this forever. Like I thought about doing Simon Hill because we kind of talked about him briefly, but he's had a lot of gushing praise of late. I thought about maybe doing the Mars from the Ladies A-League because they've been huge over on social media this week. There's a bunch of different things that happen. So I think whatever you pick, there's probably a good chance that we'll split the vote and have to try and figure out exactly how we want to get these two in there.
Well, I like Marvin. I think Marvin's got to go in. I think he's going to go in eventually. I mean, why not make him the first one in?
Yeah, and there's a good chance that we could probably get him on an episode next week. He doesn't have to say a lot. He can just hang out in the background, and that would be fine. We'd be okay with that. But yeah, I think maybe for this first week, we'll just induct Marvin, and he can be the flag bearer. He can hold down the fort and really run security on the Hall of Fame building itself. And then starting from next week, we might come back with some more present nominations, and we'll give it over to the fans to try and decide who goes in each week. How does that sound to you?
Sounds great. I love it.
Fantastic, mate. We're firing through these topics thick and fast as we go. But that does transition us into our weekly segment. We're going to have one different key topic each week. This week, it is our A-League kit review. Now, you are the connoisseur of kits, all things in terms of playing apparel in your purview. People can't see it right now, obviously, because we're at the beach, but you do have a very large collection. And unfortunately, you've infected me with that same chronic disease where I'm now starting to pick up ridiculous kits at ridiculous times. Potentially, once lockdown restrictions here in French Island and in Victoria have restricted, we might explore some of that stuff a little bit further in studio. But for the moment, we're going to jump through each of these kits. And have you got your handy little whiteboard there?
You know what, mate? Oh, I do.
I've got one too. So we might go through and try and put together our key ratings for some of the off-season offerings from each of our favourite A-League sides. Now, full disclosure before we jump into this, we're not rating keeper kits because different clubs are very different in terms of how forthcoming they are about what their keepers are going to be wearing. Shout out to Adelaide, who I think have 4 different keeper kits available for sale right now. We are also focusing specifically on A-League kits as far as our imagery is concerned, because a lot of different players are still being finalised for the W League season, and some of those marketing images weren't available. And then the last one is, if you don't have a kit already, like kind of released and out there, we're just ignoring it. So sorry, Western Sydney fans, you're probably not going to enjoy too much of this. But not only are we going to rate these kits, Bran, we're also going to go through and figure out which kit is the highest rated individually. And then we're also going to go through and have a look at the club's offerings and which kit has the highest average. So who do we think club-wise performed best in their kit offering this season? So I've got a very fancy colour coordinated Excel spreadsheet that we'll fire up towards the end here. But first one that we're going to jump into, Bran, is Adelaide United's home kit, which everyone can see up on the screen now. It's the second offering with UCAN, their kind of local boutique supplier. They had 4 different kits that they offered last season. A Ronald McDonald kit, which I loved. The Moores Balls kit, which I thought was fantastic. The goalkeeper kits came in about 12 different shades and had a pretty solid home kit with the Navy Arms. Bran, what do you make of the UCAN offering this season for the Adelaide home kit?
Well, straight off the bat, I don't like it as much as last year's. But having said that, I mean, you got to change the design every year. I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I think it gets a pass. I think it gets a tick. I think it's good without being great. It's inoffensive. You know, it just ticks the box for me. It's just an Adelaide United kit. I thought the good thing about the kit that they did, was the reveal video. I think Adelaide's social media on all their kit reveals this year has been fantastic. But I think the actual finished end product itself, I mean, it's just a red kit. It's fine. It's clean. But for me, it's solid without being anything amazing at all. What do you think, though?
Did they wear it in the FA Cup game at the weekend? I cannot remember.
I believe so. Yes.
It looked good on the pitch, but it is also like on the pitch as you're looking at the players running around. Yes, you recognise it as being Adelaide, but it's also like the same as probably about 12 different Adelaide kits that they've had throughout the course of history. So I did love the video. The video for me gives it bonus points in some respect, because I think what Adelaide United do, potentially the best of any team in the league, is that they understand their fan base and they understand how they fit within the Adelaide scene and like within the Adelaide culture and all that sort of stuff. So I think that started a lot with like Bruce Jitte was a big mover of it. He's moved on now, but like they're really keeping that trend going where that everything they do is well received by their fan group, which I think they deserve a ton of credit for. What were you going to say there just to finish off?
All I was going to say, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but at the end of the day, it's just a red shirt.
Yeah.
If I'm nitpicking here, I don't know if I like the A-League logo being yellow and Flinders University being white, but obviously with the new A-League's logo, we'll see what happens there. But I think we've got to score it now, mate, right?
All right, are you ready? I'm going to hold up mine in 3, 2, 1. I've gone with an 8.
I've gone for a 6.
You're a very harsh critic. So I've gone with an 8 just because it's solid but not spectacular. For me, you've got to do something spectacular, something different, like really try and get something unique about it. There's other kits that we'll talk about here, Brian, where...
Can I change my score?
Yeah.
I'm going to make it a 7. I'm going to make it a 7.
Yeah.
7 is going to be my benchmark. 7's going to be, all right, you've ticked the box. 7.
Yeah, I think we have so much like great within Australia symbols, different cultural references that we can use. There's a lot of fantastic stuff about Adelaide that can be utilised. I loved the Moores Balls kit last year. I know you weren't a fan of it, but at least it was something unique to Adelaide. To me, that's what this kit's missing. It'd be a 10 if there was some like unique reference to Adelaide culture, and if there is one that I've missed, let us know in the comment section or over on Twitter. But it is just a generic red kit for me, and it's a good kit, but it's only an 8.
Let's move on.
Excellent. All right, next one. Continuing our alphabetical order, we're going to head over to the Adelaide United away kit. Now, they have told me that this does have region-specific. My sources in Melbourne and Adelaide, our scouts out there in the world from French Island that communicate back to us every day, they have said that this is supposed to be based on the Barossa Valley region, which is obviously a huge winemaking region in Adelaide if you're watching internationally. I don't see that. I just see a purple kit with some diagonal lines on it. What is some of your thoughts immediately having a look at this one?
Again, I don't mind it. I think it's dark blue rather than purple. Just my personal opinion. Maybe one of us is colourblind. Hard to tell.
I am colourblind, but usually I can do blue and purple. It's red and green that mess with me.
It's all right to me. Like, it's fine. Like, again, if it does have connections with the Barossa Valley, I don't see it. And that sort of reminds me of a joke that you then have to explain at the end. So, like, it's cool to have that sort of relevancy to the city and the state, but I'm not too sure what it is. I think it's all right. I think it's fine. I think the dark blue is good. There's obviously no dark blue in the home kit, so they've been able to work that in somewhere. The design itself, it's funky, but yeah, it's fine by me.
I do like that Australian Outdoor Living's like sponsor palette is happy to just integrate with the existing white logo they've used for the Adelaide logo, the Yogo. I might be hungry. The UCAN logo, and hopefully the new A-League logo will be in that same format. So I give them a ton of credit for that. I think I'm going to do differently to you. I think 7's going to be my default, my baseline, but really I'm looking about how do I take away points rather than how do I give them, and those sort of things like. You know, they've done something unique, even though I don't necessarily recognise it. It might resonate more with Adelaide people, and they've kept consistency in the colour bases that are there, whereas some of the other kits we'll talk about, the logo placement and the logo colouring can make or break a kit in a lot of instances. So, brand 3, 2, 1. I'm going with a bang average 7 for this one, and I think you've gone with the same way as well. So, look, a good kit, a solid kit. It could be one that kind of grows on us a little bit as well, and looks better in the broadcast view once we've actually seen it out there on the pitch. But again, just solid but not super spectacular. I would be surprised if we don't see further Adelaide kits this season that are their third kit and their custom kit, stuff like the Moores balls and whatever else, which might be a little bit more cultivated and a little bit more niche. But let's jump straight into the next one, which is Brisbane Home. They are continuing with they are starting a new relationship with New Balance, who have been moving into the football market over the last few seasons. They've done a Liverpool kit, a couple other kits around niche top 5 markets in Europe as well. First foray for them into Australia. What are your thoughts on this orange kit that we can see before us here?
I actually really like it, to be honest. I think orange and black is a great colour combination, so I think Brisbane Roar are very fortunate in that regards, where it's hard to get it wrong. I like that it's all orange. I don't mind the black sort of fade stripes on the side. We haven't really seen those too much in other kits, so it has got a little bit of uniqueness about it there, and I think it's a good way to incorporate a little bit more black, but without going overboard. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it too. It gives me Tiger vibes because of the stripes on the sides.
Yeah.
And you might remember there was like a Blackpool kit from a couple of years ago and a Hull City kit that had some similar kind of like side bearing. So it's not 100% an original idea, but I do like that they're kind of trying to lean into that, you know, orange and black portion that is on the club kit and whatever else. I give it bonus points because Actron Air black logo matches the black kit. I'll be interested to see how this looks with the updated A-League logo on it, because I think the black and white colorway, if that's going to be all white or if it's going to be all black, that'll be interesting to see. But a solid kit, and again, in the FFA Cup during the week, it looked all right. Like they looked pretty good a week and a half ago when they played in it. So, yeah, decent one for me. I'm going to go with Bran. Probably the highest score I've given so far, which is a 9, because I think this will be popular amongst the A-League fan base in Redfern. Oh, Redcliffe, not Redfern. Redfern will hate it. All right. I think I'm a more generous rater than you are.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's good. But let's talk about their away.
All right, I'm going to hand this one over to you because I have a feeling that this might be the one that we kind of differ on a little bit. But talk us through the white away kit that they've offered up this season.
I like it, and I like it more than the away. The home one personally. The one thing I will say is, as you said, Acton Air was black on the home kit. I don't like that it's blue on the away, but for whatever reason, I just think the white and orange, like those subtle stripes on the side, I just think they look better. To be honest, like I just think it looks good on the away more so than the home. I don't know why. It just sort of speaks to me, but I think it's good. I get sick of clubs just wearing plain all white away kits. So I think this is a little bit more without going over the top.
If you've got a problem with wide away kits, you're going to get real uncomfortable for like the next 7 kits that we unfortunately go through, because it's just an A-League thing. Look, I agree with you. I think if this kit didn't have the sponsor logo on it, it would probably be closer to like a 9 or a 10 for me. But the highest I can give it with that baby blue in there randomly for no reason is an 8. I think it's a good kit, but it loses points because of the sponsor. That's really it for me.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Are we going to go through this whole thing and you don't give any 10s? Because like you are just the hardest man to please.
We will see.
is this what kit culture is? It's just being hypercritical of everything. We have got Brisbane have got another chance to try and get something here. This is their third kit, the black offering, black with the orange stripes, keeping consistent with the rest of the kind of kit palette or template. It is just different color swaps for these different kits. What are your thoughts on this black and orange option?
I really like it. I think that's the best of the bunch personally. I think it's sort of what we were talking about, like the darker color makes the orange stand out a little bit more. I like the all-orange badge. I like the all-orange badge on the white one as well, but I just think it stands out more with the black. Acton Air, again, being in a better color. I would have liked it if it was orange rather than white, but it sort of fits in. It's not as jarring as the blue on the away kit. And again, you can see the orange on the sides as well. I do like the consistency across all three. However, it is a little bit boring if you're not a big fan of that look. But I like it. My pick of the three.
Interesting. I would have thought for sure the away kit was your pick of the three. Look, I kind of echo the same sentiment. This kit, and before people start firing off in the comment section, it pays for the fact that what you mentioned, which is it's just a copy and paste of the other two. It's just a different color pad of the exact same thing. Like you'd expect New Balance as a new market entry would want to do something unique. So it doesn't really have anything that's unique to Brisbane. Again, the stripes I associate more with Tigers than I do Lions. That's not really something that we kind of go through with Lions, which are on the crest, and obviously synonymous with a bunch of different Queensland sporting sides. So, look, for me, Branson, it's a 7. It's a good 7. It's not far off an 8. But to me, it's just like, okay, we get it. We got it after the second one that these are your kits. Now, you don't need to have a third one that's just a different colour. It's kind of disappointing.
I've gone the 9. It can't be a 10 because it is, as you said, it's just the same design as all three. But of the three, that's my pick of the bunch.
So you've gone in your Brisbane reviews, right? 7, 8, 9 in that order, and I've gone 9, 8, 7. So one of us has gotten more upset with Brisbane as it's gone on, and the other one's gotten happier, or he's calmed down a little bit. Who knows? All right, we're going to head down to Gosford, a little bit down the coast now. Now, we don't have actual footage of these ones just yet because they are, as far as we're aware, just concept kits at the moment. But Mariners have made the jump over to Paladin Sports, who I think are a New Zealand-based company who last season did the Wellington Phoenix kits as well. What are some of your thoughts on their home offering for this season, Branson?
I don't mind it. The one thing that sort of confuses me, and it's not just the Mariners, it's a few teams around the leagues as well, is they seem to love stripes and then not love stripes. I think when they first came into the league, were they stripes when they first came into the league? Or
no. So they had blue sleeves and a yellow insert in 2005 and 2006. They had briefly sleeves in their most successful period. They had briefly stripes in their most successful period when they had played under Graham Arnold. They briefly
they won the league in like a skivvy. It was all yellow with blue sleeves as well, right?
They also had one that was all blue with like a yellow sleeve. That was the inverse of that, briefly.
Right.
And then they had the stripes, and then they had the barcode stripes, famous for the same Bolt kit. It's just indicative of the Mariners, right? Like, they really can't. I love this because I love Boca Juniors kit, if that makes sense. And it's almost like an inverse of that colour palette, a little bit more on that to come. So I think it is a synonymous football design. So I've perhaps been too generous and given it a 9, which is backwards. I know it's a bit harsh because we haven't seen it physically. You know what? I'm going to revise it down to an 8 because we haven't seen it physically. They could look like absolute garbage in real life.
I've given it a 6.
So what did it lose points? If 7 is your baseline, what did it lose points for?
Just because where's the consistency? Like, we've not seen the Mariners wear that ever. Like, there's no stripes. It's, I don't know.
Bring back the palm tree, Branson.
Yeah, I want the palm tree. I love the palm tree. It's just boring. It doesn't look bad, but it's boring.
You feel about this one the way that I feel about Brisbane's kits, where they're cool, but they're just boring.
Like the Adelaide one, okay, that was just an all-red kit. That's a pass mark. Whereas the Mariners have tried something different here, and I don't think it's paid off.
See, I think they're trying to find that identity still. Like, they can't be a barcode team every year. They can't be a palm tree team every year. But if this middle sash, where does this middle sash exist anywhere else in the Australian football landscape? It doesn't really. So, I said the Boca Juniors comparison. Like, if they can have consistent imagery or consistent, what's the word that I'm trying to say? Like, not marketing, that's not the right word, but if this becomes synonymous with them, then power to them. Because 90% of their kits, I can't remember what year they actually played in them. But speaking of, Central Coast away kit, basically just an inverse of that pattern. It hasn't got the yellow stripe, which I was kind of expecting down the middle. It's gone all blue with just a yellow outline. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
I like them all. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Where it's just like I think that big stripe through the middle, it's less jarring. I like the yellow on the cuffs. I think it stands out more than the dark blue that you see on the home kit. I like them all personally. What do you think?
I do too. If this has got yellow shorts, it's all time A League.
Oh,
If it
I'd
doesn't,
take blue shorts, yellow socks as well. I'd
Yeah.
take that.
yeah, I just want yellow shorts. Like, like shorts are going to come up as we get into some of these other kits as well. Like what makes or breaks a good kit. And again, maybe I'm being too generous here, but I've gone with an 8 because I like it as it looks right now. But if it's just generic navy socks and navy shorts, it's probably knocks itself down to like a 6 for lack of ingenuity. Again, though, same problem as the Brisbane kit. It's just the same thing, but an inverse color palette. It's not like a specific design relating to their project. So, sorry, what did you go as well, just for the audio listeners?
I went a 7. I went a
7.
7. Again, it's pretty stock standard. It's clean. It's basic. It does look like it has a bit of a subtle pattern on it as well, but we'll have to see when we actually get proper photos of it. But yeah, I like it more than the home, so I've gone 7 rather than 6. But let's take a look at their third kit.
And absolutely, I know I just shit on Brisbane for the exact same thing, but it is just the same template again. This one's an all white number. Again, and Spotify listeners, I apologise. This is a horrific episode for you guys because this is such a visual thing that we're doing. But by all means, go and check it out on YouTube if you get the opportunity. White kit, blue sash down the middle. I don't mind it, but I think this is the weakest of the 3 for me, Branson. What are you thinking?
I think it is by far the weakest. We were talking about colours that were like, synonymous with the Mariners. They haven't even got white in their badge. I don't like.
I don't know if there was a league.
Like
There might have been a league-wide mandate that neither of us caught that you have to have a white kit available or something like that. Like a couple of years ago when FIFA came up with that dumb rule. But yeah,
I hope they don't wear it.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good.
I've gone bang average 7.
I've gone 3.
That's man. You are a hard man to.
I think it's properly.
Hard man to please. All right, so the lowest score to date.
Just quickly, just let me explain. So I think it's similar to Brisbane, where it's like, okay, they've got the same design as you said, but this one, it's crap. Like
I think
Brisbane, you go orange home, white away,
come.
black is a third, whereas Mariners, I'm not about it.
For better or worse,
like
right? Maybe I'm already thinking about some of the shitty kits that we've got coming up in the next few lots. Like I look at that, and I'm shudder to think what you're going to say about some of these upcoming kits.
Well, let's get going.
Particularly the next one, MacArthur home kit. After having a pretty straightforward Macron kit last season, white shirt, black shorts, they've gone with this black stripy number that also has like a weird, not quite. What is it? It's not. I don't know, trapezium? Is that what you call it? The white section that's kind of covering not laterally Wisdom Homes and the Macron logo and the MacArthur logo, and we know we'll also have the A-League logo. Brand, that is going to be so busy in that section once they add that A-League portion to it as well. For me, this is a 3 for me. Like, I don't know where your head's at. I do want to point out as well with this one before I hand it over to you, it's got this weird thing on, and I'll use the mouse actually because I'm pointing to a screen that I've just realised no one can see. The sleeves, it's like one outer, which is a sleeveless top, and then you're wearing like a different shirt underneath it. It shows a little bit clearer on the away kit that we'll get to in a moment. But for me, Bran, this is hideous. I don't know what you think.
I don't like. I see. All right, I like the stripes. I like the black and white stripes. I think that's a good look. I think this is a poor execution of the black and white stripes. I go for Fulham, so I am partial to an all-white top with just black shorts, which is what MacArthur wore last year. I thought that was good. I do like the stripes here, but it just, with the angle, it doesn't look good. As well, at the top of the middle stripe, you can see on the collar, there's like this tiny little black section, which is meant to connect to the main black stripe down the middle, but because of where they've got that white trapezium, it cuts up most of it. So they've just got this really random little white black spot up the, this really random little black spot at the top, and I don't like it. And then, yeah, the sleeves, the stripes by the sleeves don't match up on either side.
This
I like
looks
the
to
concept.
me.
It looks crap.
I hate the concept. This looks to me like a kit that a manufacturer would print as like a proof of concept. You know, like those generic kind of just factory seconds ones that they would use to show like, oh, this is what it could be. But they've actually published it, and now it's going to be in FIFA and worn on league pitches next season. And MacArthur, who did so much work in their off-season recruitment to like get in some great players, are going to have them wearing, for me, one of the like all-time kind of shittiest kits I think I've ever seen. I've gone with the three, but I'm a kinder person than you. I think I thought like, you know, you're way too harsh on the Mariners.
I just didn't like the white one. I thought the first two were fine, but then the white one was just nothing. Anyway, I like the stripe concept. They've not executed well.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't hate if a team in the A-League decided that they were going to be a team that wore black and white stripes, because they are fairly synonymous with, football across the world. Let's have a look at the away kit, though, for MacArthur. It is effectively the same weird thing with the shoulders. Like, do you see what I'm talking about on this one, where it's like they're wearing one shirt, which is a vest, and then another undershirt underneath it? It's a yellow number. It's got some diagonal stripes. I think I hate this more than the home one, to be honest with you, Brent.
I despise this kit. Do you know what it reminds me of? It's like when you go to a restaurant and they put photos on the menu, and then the photos on the menu are crap. So it's like, what you're trying to showcase it here. You're trying to show it off, and you've chosen an awful photo. I can't remember who it was who was modeling it, but the jersey looks, in the official photos that they released, the jersey looks way too big. It looks like a tent. It's massive in the shoulders. I get what you mean, where it almost looks like, that it's a vest over shirt over the top of like a t-shirt or something. I don't like the gold. I don't like clubs that wear gold in general. I just don't think it works. Like, gold looks shiny on a logo, but then for whatever reason on a kit material it just doesn't seem to work. The weird half design, the collar, here we go, giving it a 1.
It's actually ochre, you unconscious one, but I also gave it a 1 as well. I think horrific. And this is the challenge, right? We talked about Western United and their like PR disasters in terms of being a new club. MacArthur really need to get this part right so that people want to buy their kit and want to be wearing their colours and want to get like people in the crowd. This is a more important thing than I think that they've treated it this season.
And just very quickly on MacArthur, and we'll talk about more with Western United as well. Their first season they were all white, and now they've instantly gone to stripes. Like, yeah,
I didn't mind. Their kit last year was okay. If you remember, I think when it came out, it had like that sublimated bull. But then when that kit actually came out, that bull was basically like, what's the word? It was pretty see-through. Like it was opaque. That's the word I'm trying to find. That was cool. I actually liked their kit. Their kit grew on me over the season, but they've just like completely misunderstood, I think, their fan base and what they're trying to do. There's no stripes anywhere on their logo. But there's stripes all over both of their kits, which is ridiculous to me. But more positive stuff, a little bit closer to home or nearer to us in French Island. The Melbourne City home kit. This was, for one reason or another, one of the most talked about kits in the off-season because it inadvertently leaked the A-League logo about a week and a half early. But they do also have, for the first time, the gold A-League logo representing their status as premiers and champions from last season. Branson, in a different life, some doppelgangers that looked exactly like us have been known to head to the odd Melbourne City game from time to time. Mm-hmm. What are some of your thoughts on their offering this season?
I like it, to be honest. I think for Melbourne City, full disclosure, we are Melbourne City fans. I think
I'm only a French Island fan for courtesy and sake of this podcast.
Yep, good clarification. Their kit releases, for the most part, have been the most boring because they're going to get an all-blue home kit. They're going to have a red and white stripe one, and they're going to have some random third kit. So I at least like for this one that they've tried something different with the white sleeves, where it's not just an all-blue number. I don't know if I love it yet, but at least it's something different. Melbourne City for the last 4 years, I think they've just worn a plain sky blue shirt. So I like the sleeves. It's something different. I'm on board with it. What do you think?
kind of see what you're saying, but I do think there is a beauty in simplicity as well at times as well. What it needs is there was a great night kit for Melbourne City, 17-18 or 18-19, whichever one it was. It was just blue Nike shirt, white shorts, blue socks. If this had white shorts, I think I'd be happier with it, but they're all blue and they're blue socks again. So I don't understand why the white sleeves have got like the checkerboard kind of like racing finish line flag kind of pattern to them. That makes no sense to me. And again, like I kind of was a bit critical of Adelaide with it. There are so many cool and unique different like iconographies, not just in Melbourne, but on the Melbourne City logo and like crest itself. You know, that they could have integrated some different pattern or something like that. Like, it'd be much cooler if the shape on the arms was like, you know, the old Melbourne heart symbol, which is part of the logo, or, you know, like a crown for the Victorian flag, or, you know, even the Victoria Cross, which is a Melbourne state flag, or sorry, Melbourne flag, Victorian state flag, and in the club logo. Like, it's just stuff for the sake of stuff. It's not good stuff. It's not bad stuff. So I've gone bang average 7. It's
I've
okay.
gone 7 as well.
I'll probably still bloody buy it, but you know, bang, it's okay. It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah. I don't love the white sleeves, but I just like that it's something different. You know?
Yeah, fair.
Let's talk about their away though.
Their away kit. This, I don't know what colour you call this, charcoal, I guess, with a tessellated iconography design. I did like this kit because it's got the gold leagues, Puma, City, and Etihad Airways. And I have to correct myself. I think it was this logo that accidentally leaked in the initial announcement video. I liked this, but then I found out that there's a team in the Indian League that has this kit, but in a purple and orange version, and it's awesome. And then there's another team in like Division 2 in France. There's another team in Uruguay, and they've all got this exact same kit, effectively, just with different colour balances. So very much an off-the-wall template. I do like the charcoal and the gold combination, but for me, again, it's a bit okay. What are your thoughts?
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. The one thing that I don't like is the pattern. As you mentioned, like, you know, we're talking about the Adelaide away kit, you know, the potential Barossa link or whatever, Moles Balls kit last year. I don't know what that pattern is. Like, it could have been something a little bit more Melbourne. We saw with the Victory away kit last year, it had that subtle map of Melbourne on the away kit. So I think they could have incorporated a cooler, more Melbourne-esque pattern as part of it. But I think the colour looks good. I think the gold looks really, really good. It just works. I'm a big fan.
When is a club in the A-League going to release like an Indigenous style kit? Think of all the different iconography we've got like within our Indigenous communities that could have been utilised perfectly here to be something other than a tessellated kit design. Yeah, again, bang average for me. I've just gone 7.
I've gone a 9.
Okay.
The only reason it's not a 10 is because, as you said, we found out that there's a few more clubs that have that same design, that it's a bit too templatey. But other than that, I think the colours look sick. I think it works great with the gold and the charcoal. Love it.
All right. Well, if you like that one, potentially, if you're going to echo the rest of soccer Twitter, and particularly Melbourne City fans, is their third kit. The sash design has returned. Of course, infamous in the initial season of the A-League, Melbourne Heart had a sash kit that was awesome. And then they, I think, replicated it again a couple of seasons later. I've completely forgotten the year. Both Reebok and ISC getting around those two different designs. This time they've gone with a bit more of a kind of tessellated sash pattern. People called it a piano or a tie mark or whatever else. Again, it's got the Etihad Airways logo. It's got the league's logo. It's good. It's better than just having the red and white stripes again for a 10th consecutive year. What are some of your thoughts on it?
I don't mind it. I like that the sash is back. I just think that's good. I think it's a good look. I'm not thrilled with this one, though. For me, there's a few too many colours on it. Like, you've got the blue in the City logo, you got the red in the sash and the City logo as well. You got Etihad in black, you got the logo, the A-League's logo in gold, and then you got McDonald's logo in yellow on the side. There's a few too many colours going on there for me. And I think that sort of makes it look a little bit too busy. I think it's the kind of kit that'll look really good on TV, because you won't be able to see that sort of piano tire pattern. But looking at it up close, I'm not a huge fan of the piano keys. I get why they've done it. It's sort of like a creative, artistic version of just what is normally a sash. It's sort of like last year how their third kit rather than just red and white stripes like what I'm wearing. They did the pinstripe, so it's sort of like, you know, paying homage to tradition, but like they've got a bit of creative liberty in there. So I get it, but I'm not in love with it.
I've already pre-ordered one. I like it a bit, but again, like I mentioned, that we were kind of going to start talking about like shorts and socks and stuff like that. If this had red shorts and wasn't just all white, I would be so into it. Particularly from a viewing perspective, because we really haven't had like that proper red-white combination represented in the league properly since Melbourne Heart were bought out. So yeah, I think it's all right. It's got red numbers as well, which I think kind of goes into what you were saying about too many different colours. But yeah, if it's close, I gave it an 8, a solid 8, because I do like it, but it would be potentially a 9 with red shorts, potentially a 10 if the stuff that you mentioned, like if the A-League pattern is going to be gold on all 3 of their kits, then the Melbourne City logo should be gold as well. The Etihad Airways logo should be gold as well. And then that would push it to a 10. So that's where it loses its 2 points for me. But a pretty good effort, and I'll probably buy it and wear it every week. I mean, no, I won't.
You said you've already bought it.
Yeah, if it arrives. But yeah, no, I only go to French Island games, so you know this.
That's of course.
We're going to head to the other side of Melbourne now, and it's Melbourne Victory's home kit, their first year of a deal with Macron, which will continue for the next 3 seasons. Somewhat iconic Big V, or it looks more like a big L at the moment, just kind of slightly tilted because of the bloody size of the thing. Metricon is the front of shirt sponsor, a bit of yellow as the additional detail. Branson wasn't super well received on Twitter. What were some of your thoughts relating to the home kit this season?
I don't like it. I mean, they've gone for a simple look, but for me, it just doesn't quite work. It just looks cheap. So a couple of things that I don't like. I think the chevron is massive. I think it's just too big. The problem you have with that as well is because it's so big, the sponsor Metricon has to be so low, so it doesn't look balanced or proportioned right, to my eye at least anyway. So my favourite Victory chevron is the one that they had with Ola Toivonen, where it was sort of like it was shallower. The sponsor was brought up. I like that.
It had like the star pattern background kind of thing. Was it that one?
Oh, no, it had like the barcode. It was barcode.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was good.
It was shallower. I thought that looked better. With this one as well, it looks like the Victory badge is like in the armpit. And there's a few weird angles going on as well, because you've got the angles of the chevron and then you've got the Macron logo just above it as well, going off at different angles. So that's a bit nitpicky, but...
And you've got an angular design for the A-League logo about to get added to it on the left as well.
Yeah, and it's got like, it looks like sublimated or subtle, sorry, that's the word I was looking, subtle diagonal patterns as well. So there's a few too many diagonal angles. I do like the fluoro highlight, to be honest. But yeah, for an attempt to recreate a classic look, it looks average.
This looks like a Queen Victoria Market knockoff, or one that you would pick up in a Southeast Asian country. I've gone with a 2.
Oof, I've gone a 4.
Okay, fair enough.
And the only reason I've gone a 4 is because it's sticking with tradition, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like MacArthur where they've just sort of thrown their 1 year of tradition in the bin for a crap design. It is at least an iconic Victory look.
But call it a V, anyway. Call it a chevron, call it whatever you want to call it. How hard is it to actually just copy the one that they've got on their logo onto a kit? Like, why are the angles all messed up? Like, that makes no sense to me. And they've had some great kits over the years as well. Let's have a look at the Victory away kit. It's Brand's favourite. It's a white inverse of their home kit. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. Like, it's got all the same issues in terms of the logo placement, in terms of the big chevron. I don't have much more to say to that than, like, it's all the same criticisms. It's just a white inverse. It's not that creative. I'm not a huge fan.
If you were a short enough person and you tucked your shirt in, you would not even know that Metricon was a front of shirt sponsor. Such is the placement on the belly. Look, I've gone bang average too. I think Victory fans have every right to be upset with this one, because their white offering last season was one of the best kits in the league. And they've gone from that, which had the map of Melbourne and everything on it, to this is just, to me, a step in the wrong direction. I like the white and blue combination. I think that works well for them as they're trying to pick up their imagery and stuff. I like the yellow that you mentioned on the home kit, but yeah, like, just shit. And Macron, I think,
Yep.
has been poor across all its kit offerings this
Yep.
season.
I've given it a 3. The fluoro just doesn't stand out as much on the away kit, of course, fluoro next to white. But yeah, compared to last year's away kit, which was an absolute banger, last year's away kit I would have given it a 10. Yeah, it's disappointing. It is Macron's first year with them, so they might be playing it safe, but they've not done well.
Playing it safe or the only way is up. We'll find out over the next few seasons.
Oh,
But we're going to jump across to another kit which has divided opinion. There was, I don't know if anybody heard or saw, but across Twitter, everything about Newcastle was bound by gold for about 6.5 months before this kit came out. And then it was somewhat underwhelming once it was released. The real life version, the neck is massive. And then also the tessellated pattern that we can see on this graphic on the screen now isn't super visible on the actual finished kit itself. And for me, the port of Newcastle, like, why can't that be like, have you ever tried to download an image or a logo and you want it to be a PNG with a transparent background, but you can't find one? That's exactly what this looks like to me. Like, they have that random white square, which, like I said, a good sponsor logo and a good colouring to that sponsor logo can make or break a kit. And for me, this one kind of breaks it. But what are some of your thoughts, Bran?
I like it. For the most part, I think gold is the. Sorry, pardon me. I think it's the best color for the Jets going forward. To be honest, it's the one that I've liked the most. My criticisms that I had for MacArthur, I don't think are as applicable for the Jets. I said for MacArthur, I don't like gold kits or whatever it is, but for whatever reason, for Newcastle, they've been able to sort of get that shiny finish where it does look gold rather than just like a pale off yellow. Yeah, the Port of Newcastle one, that's a big one for me. Like, seriously, you'd get rid of that white background because it just looks jarring. It doesn't fit in. It doesn't incorporate it. I don't mind the neck. I like that they're wearing dark blue shorts with it as well. So, to be honest, I think it's a very, very good kit.
Yeah, it's an improvement. I'd agree with the gold. Like, that's where Newcastle really needs to like lean into it and become the gold team. Not worry too much about being like Newcastle Knights A League side or whatever else. Even though that colour scheme. Yeah, sorry, Brent.
And just very quickly, I didn't mention it before, but the same as the Mariners, where we've seen them chop and change, where they're gold some years, then they're blue, then they're blue and red stripes, then they go back to blue, then they go to gold again. So it would be nice if they could sort of nail it on to a look, but I really, really, really like this one.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle have got a lot right this offseason in terms of the new ownership structure and the coaching and all that sort of stuff. But for me, just a middle of the road 5 for this one.
I'm giving it a 9.
You know what? And some of that is probably punishing it because this, like, you know, what could have been with the gold palette. But for me, the neck is huge. I watched Matt German, who's a big dude, swimming around in that gigantic neck looking like he was playing for an over 35s team in like Sunday Metropolitan football. And then Port of Newcastle on the front, just gigantic. You can't see any of the other stuff on the league, on the kit, because the logo just ruins it for me. So I've gone 5.
I'm not seeing the big neck. Anyway.
I should have gone with a real life picture. What was your score again? Sorry, you've gone with.
I'll give it a 9.
9. Jesus, we are just on different pages today, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but I'm looking at photos as we speak. Yeah, some of the real life ones, it doesn't look as good, but obviously the ones with the snazzy photography lighting, it looks pretty wizzo. But no, I'm sticking with 9.
Yeah, fair enough. I have moved across to the away kit. White offering, 2 stripes down the middle, 1 red, 1 blue, signifying the colours for the region, and then the additional detail and trim is gold to match the home kit. It does also have this kind of like tessellated design in the background, which I know nothing about. We haven't seen this kit in the flesh just yet. It's just this graphic that we can see for the design element. What are some of your thoughts on it, Bran?
I like it. One thing that I want to talk about as well, though, is I think the league needs to sort of figure out who can and cannot use gold here. Like, should gold just be reserved for the champions? Because this will come up with another team's kit as well. Like Newcastle, their entire kit being gold. Yep, sure thing, great. But then on their away kit, if like, you know, the A-League's logo is gold and they've got gold trim here, like I think there might need to be a little bit of universal agreement as to who can and cannot wear it. That's my opinion. But in regards to this, I don't mind it. I like the red and blue stripe. I think if Newcastle go down this path in the future, I'd be happy with that. Whereas, you know, gold is their home colour and then, you know, blue and red stripes will sort of feature on their away in some manner. I think it's good. So I like it for the most part. I think it's clean. I've given it a 7. I think it's unspectacular. Ooh, sorry, I'm just dropping things all over the place here. I think it's unspectacular, but I think it looks fine.
I've gone with a 6, but it's a 6 assuming that the neck has the same issues as the other one, and it's assuming that, not represented on this graphic, it's going to have Port of Newcastle like glued on the front of it in
Oh,
gigantic
yeah,
things.
true.
So I've just gone with 6. So basically, it starts at a 7, it loses 2 points because the neck sucks and the sponsor sucks. But we'll see what happens with that. There is a third kit for the Jets, which is probably more familiar looking to people that might have watched them in the last few years. Again, just basically inverse of the away kit. It's a blue kit with the gold and red stripes. I don't mind this one. Perhaps that familiarity aspect to it, to kits that they've had in the previous seasons. But again, we can't see the logo yet for the sponsor, which I think could make or break it again if it is Port of Newcastle. And again, it's just another scenario where we've got the exact same kit being used 3 times, but just in 3 different colorways. So what are some of your thoughts on it, Brent?
Yeah, exactly what we were saying with the away kit. Like, I like the gold in this. Sorry, how they've got the gold and the red stripe. I think that's good. But yeah, wouldn't have been surprised if this was like a home kit in previous years. So again, I think it's fine. I'm glad that they've chosen the gold one as their home kit. But for this, I give it a 7. Again, like it's fine, but I think they've got their kits in the right order, where gold at home and then white and blue is an away one. I think it's the same.
I've gone with a 6, and I'm actually going to revise their home kit back to a 6 as well, because I think just having them be 666 is funny.
Nice.
But again, like, just, it's fine. It is what it is. I can't see many Newcastle fans rushing out to buy this kit or the away kit, but I can see them rushing out to buy the home kit because they've wanted gold for quite a while. Just as we talked
Agreed.
about Melbourne City and the sash, all that sort of stuff, they have listened to their fan base at least, so we'll give them an additional point for that. Perth Glory, another of the Macron kits. Perth Glory, for me, have one of the best colour sets in world football. Purple and orange can be used effectively in so many ways. They've got like kind of this diagonal stripe 3 times across the kit, which also includes their foundation year, 1996, written about 75 different ways, and upside down and left to right and right to left and all that sort of stuff. And of course, big gigantic BHP logo on it. They've improved on last year, where the BHP isn't sat around everyone's belly button. It is up towards the nipple area of the kit where you'd expect it to be. But what are some of your thoughts on this one, Brian?
I do not like it at all. The only thing that I like about this is because it's their 25th anniversary, they've got the 25th anniversary glory badge. That is the only thing I like about it. I mean, it's just a purple shirt. I think the reason why I'm so harsh on this is because what could have been. We've seen some belter glory kits in the past. You know, being their 25th anniversary. If we flash back 5 years ago for their 20th anniversary, they had what is it? The sunburst, the orange sunburst feature. So I would have liked to have seen something similar to that. They had this Ripper Kappa kit back in the day when they were in the NSL, where it was like 2/3 purple, 1/3 white. I think they could have incorporated more of their former designs into it. Instead, they've just gone all purple with a big jarring sponsor on it, and like the random 3 sashes that have their founding year in it across the board in all sort of direction. Yuck. I just don't like it. I think it could have been so much better.
I don't care about it enough to do like to the depth that you do. I've gone with a 7, but again, like just bang average. I think I'm maybe giving this one too much credit. Yeah, you're right. Hang on, you're right.
I've given it a 2.
You've gone
I've
with
given
a 2.
it a 2. I'm gonna it just because it's just a purple shirt. Like the sashes, I don't really get. I mean, they got the foundation year in it. Like the logo's good, but it's just like it's clean in terms of similar to Adelaide, but it's just.
I'm going to drop it down.
I'm
to
very
a 4.
disappointed.
You're right. You've sold me on it. You're a good salesman, Branson. But it is the best of the Macron kits. I will say that Macron's been bang average in all their offerings, and this is the best of the bunch, I feel. But again, similar to what you said, like it could have been so cool. Like they could have done so much interesting stuff for the 25-year anniversary, other than just 1996 written across it 65 times. I've just realised I used the wrong Perth logo for this season as well. So sorry, Perth fans. Let us know in the comment section. Jumping across to this hideous, disgusting away kit. It is toothpaste green, or minty green if you are one of the audio-only listeners that stuck with us through this entire thing. BHB's logo is white, which basically makes it redundant. It fades into the background. You can barely see it. Purple, different additional 2 side stripes underneath each armpit. A little bit of purple and orange detail around the edge of it. Everything you said about the home kit is how I feel about this away kit, Bram. What do you think?
Yeah, the only thing that is stopping it from getting a 1 I've given it a 2. Sorry, spoiler alert. Given it a 2 as well. The only thing that's stopping it getting a 1 is I think it's better than the awful MacArthur kit. I'm not a big fan of the toothpaste green, but it's unique, cool, so I can get on board that. But yeah, then the sponsor doesn't mesh too well. And again, like, I'm not a huge Perth Glory historian, but have they ever worn teal? Like, why couldn't they incorporate more of their 25th anniversary into this? Apparently, the
Or
fans
just
wanted to move away from white, which fine, but yeah.
then have an orange kit. Like they've
Yeah,
got,
yeah.
they're like, this is the one club that I think I would have excused and been like supportive of them just doing the inverse of their color set. Like every other club has done it. Why couldn't Perth have done it and had like an orange with like the additional purple detail? That would be cooler to be unique, and it clashes with no one other than Brisbane away, where they can wear their purple anyway. So I've gone with a 3. It like, but again, just so blur, and the fit on it's really weird as well. Like this is Bruno Fornaroli in the picture. He's an athlete. He's built. He's spent his entire career as a professional footballer, and he looks like kind of a small child swimming around in that gigantic neck and elbows
Nice.
and everything. So, yeah, look, power to him, but I don't. Yeah, I don't really rate any of the kits that Macron's done. However, we might have differing feelings about the next one. We're going to look at Sydney FC's home kit. Again, I think they're in the 3rd, 4th year maybe of their deal with Under Armour. This is only the 2nd kit under that offering. They did keep their home kit last season from the year before, which is interesting. We'll see if Sydney FC continue doing these 2-year kit spells. I don't hate it as a concept and an idea. Brand, you might feel differently, but this is a pretty straightforward kit, to be honest. Under Armour with the sky blue number and white, detail or attributes around it. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
I like it. I mean, it's hard to get too in depth with it because it is just an all blue kit similar to what Adelaide wore. But maybe it's just the photos, but it just looks really bright. It looks really vibrant. It looks really clean. I like the alignment with all the colors. Sorry, like the white in the logo, the white in the league badge, and then white on the sponsor. For me, I've given it an 8. I think I don't know, for some reason, I know I gave Adelaide a 7, just said, yep, like it's just a blah home kit. But for whatever reason, this seems like a little bit more to me.
Yeah, I want to point out there's this weird thing on this Under Armour kit, and you'll notice it more if you see like photos of the players wearing it. It's like 2 shirts. So there's a short sleeve about 2 inches above the hem, and then there's another sleeve underneath it. So it literally looks like they're wearing a t-shirt underneath a football kit that was like built with sleeves too short. I don't get that. I'm not sure what that is. I've also given it an 8. It is solid. It looks good. They've got navy shorts and navy socks. It's a Sydney FC kit. Like you want clubs to be identifiable. We talked about the Mariners not necessarily having their own image that they're consistent with. Sydney FC maybe go the other direction and are too consistent with their image, but it is. And no one would fail to identify Sydney FC as wearing this kit.
Yep.
Perhaps a better offering, or at least something unique, is the away kit that we've got listed here. I should mention, and we probably should have mentioned on the home kit, there is like a subtle detail, which is the arch of the Sydney Opera House. Represented better here in the away kit because you can see white against blue, but it is also in the background of the home kit as well. But again, same weird sleeve thing, where there's like a shorter sleeve, about 2 inches from the hem, and then a longer sleeve that appears underneath it. Again, not super visible on this image, but super visible when they're wearing it. I will give them credit because the Sydney FC logo, the A-League logo, and the Star logo, as well as the Under Armour logo, all colour-coded to dark blue, I think looks really good. And this is one of those scenarios where if the Star was a different colour, or like a yellow or a black or whatever else, it would ruin this kit, but it actually complements it really nicely. What do you think, Brain?
I don't mind it. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of gradient kits. So for me, I don't think it's as solid as the home offering, but that's just my personal opinion, my taste with that sort of design element. But again, yeah, I like how they've incorporated the dark blue across the board, as you said. So for me, I've given it a 7. I think it's good. I think it's fine. But yeah, the gradient for me, just not a huge fan. So can't quite hold it on the same level as the home.
Yeah, I am going to give it a 9. Because shorts make or break a kit. It goes in, like the gradient transitions into blue shorts, transitions into blue socks, which looks cool. So they've tried to do something different. They've tried to get outside the mold in terms of what was a very generic, like kind of grey kit that they used last 2 seasons for their away kit. Yeah. So again, it's a white kit. They just seem to be going around at the moment as far as the league is concerned. The sleeves are weird, but they're not a deal breaker. I'll be thrilled if if they've got black numbering or navy numbering, because we know that the numbering might be different in the league based on the announcement video for the leagues yesterday, that's going to look pretty awesome as a colour set. So I've gone with a 9 because I think it's nice. And yours was a 7, sorry?
7, yep.
Perfect. All right, the third kit, which was pretty well received by their fan group, it's kind of like a metallic purple. I could be wrong again because Brand's already pointed out that I was colourblind in one portion. Again, they've gone with symmetry for all the logos as well. The Sydney FC, A-League, Under Armour and Star badges are all white, which I think adds quite a bit to it. It's also got purple shorts and kind of like a darker purple sock. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
My least favourite of the 3. I'm not a huge fan, personally. It just looks solid, all one color. Like I can see some subtle hints of some different coloration throughout it. If you're a Sydney FC fan, you might like it because it's something different to what they normally wear. But for me, I'm giving it a 6. Sorry, I haven't even written my number down. Here we go. I'm giving it a 6. I think it's the weakest of the 3. Like it's just a bit bland. Like the color's different, but yeah, there's nothing from a design perspective that gets me excited.
Yeah, I've gone with a 7 because I also agree. I think this is the weakest of the 3. It's cool, it's different, but I actually thought it was a goalkeeper kit when I originally saw it because I didn't immediately recognise the player that was wearing it during their media release and everything. So I thought it was the goalkeeper kit, which would have been fine. And to me, it looks like 4 or 5 other goalkeeper kits that are in the league at the moment already. So Melbourne City's got one that's like this. Adelaide just released one that's supposed to be based on the Forest. I don't understand that at all, but to me, it's fine. It's fine. It's all right. We're going to jump across the ditch. Again to Paladin Sports. It's Wellington Phoenix. They had a pretty solid first outing with Paladin last season with a mostly yellow kit with 2, I don't know what you call them, black stripes down the middle, which was supposed to be based on the topography of Mount Wellington. Then it looks like someone accidentally zoomed in too far on that kit and the stripes grew incredibly big this season. And there's 2 black stripes separated in the middle by a Spark logo and a section in the middle. It's kind of like, if you focus on it, you can kind of see like a cross shape in the middle, but I don't think that's deliberate like a Palmer kit. I think it's supposed to be 2 stripes that are just broken up by a sponsor logo. But what are some of your thoughts on this one, Bran?
I don't mind it. I like that they've gone back to the stripes. I wasn't a big fan of the predominantly all yellow one that they had last year. I like stripes. I'm not a huge fan of the cross. I think they kind of had to because otherwise I don't know how the sponsor logo would have sort of fit in over that. So I don't mind it, but I would have liked it if the sponsor logo was slightly higher. Again, it sort of reminds me a little bit of Metricon where it seems like it's a little bit too low. I've given it a 6. I like the stripes, but I don't think that's quite executed. Better than last year, but not quite doing it for me.
I gave it an 8, not on the strength of this picture that we're looking at, and maybe even not on the strength of its own, but the completed set with the yellow shorts and socks looks rad. So
nice.
Yeah, like that the completed kit itself gets an 8. If we would just talk about the shirt, I'd probably be with you and giving it a 6 as well. They've got the easiest job in the world. Just copy whatever Dortmund did 5 years ago and you'll sell 600 kits. Like, they never get it wrong. So I think that's an easy way to do it.
Sell more than 600 probably, but
I don't know if they actually do sell more than that. But for Paladin, that could be big numbers. We don't know. Their away kit, they've gone with a teal number again. It's got like some sort of pattern on it, which I don't think represents anything other than being a pattern. And a big giant sponsor that says Oppo, which I actually thought was a pattern on the kit. I didn't realize it was a separate company. But Bran, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
I like the color. We saw that they wore a similar color away kit last year. It had that sort of teal and dark blue look on it. And I like this one more. I think it looks better than the offering last year. I don't necessarily love it, but I think it's good.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's all right. I've gone with a 6. It's okay. It is what they did last year, just slightly different. Updated logo, updated crest, updated sponsor. So, it's all right. It's not super imaginative. The part that I think put the last season's kit above it was that it was based on the topography of Mount Wellington, so they had something unique to it. As far as I'm aware, and I'm happy to be corrected and revise my score, there's nothing actually to do with this pattern. It's just a random pattern. And that's like, the same as the generic stuff that we've been critical of. All the other clubs, really only Sydney FC and Adelaide have tried to do something specific to their region. And I think that's where Wellington kind of loses a little bit for me this season. And you've gone with an 8.
I've gone an 8. Yeah, I just like it.
Fair enough. Sometimes that's as simple as it is, Brandon. I just like it.
Yeah.
Speaking of a kit that most people received relatively positively, it's Western Sydney Wanderers' home kit for this season. It is their 10th year in the A-League, so they've brought themselves out a custom badge. Again, like Western Sydney just do whatever they feel like doing. And when it comes to their club crest at any particular point, they give themselves stars, they take them away, they add banners, they do whatever else. Again, sponsored by Voltaren and in their second year of a deal with Kappa. You mentioned earlier the gold logo. I think this is what you're referring to. It looks cool on the arms. It will be replaced by an A-League logo on the front. And it does actually have 10 stripes, if you count them out, to signify their 10 years in the league, which I guess is something. What are your thoughts on this one, Branson?
I like it. You're spot on with the gold that I don't quite get. Like, it pops. It certainly does. Like, the black, red, and gold, I think, looks really good. But, again, it's sort of like, is gold exclusively for the champions, or can anyone just sort of use it? So, I like the 10 stripes signifying their 10 years. I know I said before I wasn't a big fan of, shirt designs where it's sort of like a joke where you have to explain it. It sort of loses its impact there. But I think because it's such an iconic Western Sydney design anyway, that it's subtle enough, if that makes sense. So like it still just looks like a normal Western Sydney kit, but then it's got that added bonus on it. I've given it an 8. I think it's clean. I think it's sharp. Voltaren, I would have liked it if that was also gold. Or, alternatively, the Kappa logo was white, I think. That would bump it up a little bit more if they had that sort of colour unification.
Yeah, I've gone with an 8 as well. The only reason it's not like a 9, I like it as a kit, it's solid, but the big thing that I saw, particularly on Wanderers Twitter, was they were comparing it with the 15-16 night kit. And when you compare the two, the night kit's still better. So that's the reason I've given it an 8. Like, it's great to pay homage to things, but if you're going to pay homage, you've got to do it better than the original was, or you've got to update it to be more current. And I think when you compare the two side by side, just the NRMA logo, the fact that it's probably like Yusuf Hersey or Aaron Moy wearing the shirt, and they were winning during that period, I look back on that kit a little bit more fondly. So 8's a pretty solid, pretty good average across the kits, but we'll see what their away kit has to come. It's not on this episode because we're jumping to Western United because the away kit hasn't formally been released by Western Sydney, even though you can see it in FIFA if you want to go and have a sneak peek. Western United, still with Kappa, they've taken what was effectively last season green arms and turned them back into black arms to match their kit from the first season. Again, it's that sublimated kind of fade design that they had last year. Simmons is the front of shirt sponsor. You know what you're getting with the Western United kit at this point. What do you think about this one, Bran?
Yeah, I mean, this is a bang on 7 for me. Like, it's average. It gets a pass. Like it's nothing exciting. But I will give Western United big credit in the fact that they've stuck with that design. Like MacArthur, we've seen gone from white to stripes. We were talking about the Mariners before. We were talking about Newcastle before, how they've changed a lot of their design elements. So, Western United, they've stuck with it, and that's fine. You don't have to reinvent a stripe kit every single season. I like the black on the sleeves, I guess. The only thing as well, it has got a bit of a gradient by the looks of it. I think that's a gradient more than just like a Photoshop effect. So I'm not sold on that, but I think it's fine.
It'll be black shorts, black socks, like that'll be it. They don't reinvent the wheel. And of course the 5 stripes on the front of the kit represent the amount of home grounds they'll play out of this season as well. Heading their away kit though, they've gone with like kind of a reverse sublimated design. There's like a graphic in the middle with kind of a shaded charcoal looking line. Imagine you were masking up a wall to try and paint it and then you remove that masking tape down the middle. That's kind of what they've gone for, I think, in this one. I don't mind it. I think it's good colour balancing again between the Western United, Kappa and Simmons logos. It's good that they've been able to invert that colour palette to be black to complement the additional detail on the kit. I think it's better than the home kit, but again, just wide away kits this season in the A-League. Well, it's not mandated that we all have to have one, so it would have been great to see something a little bit more imaginative. Mainly that's based on the fact that they had that fantastic tessellated kit the away kit in their first season, which was really good and really unique. And this one just kind of seems, again, like more of a Kappa showing their ability to print this kit as opposed to it being specifically designed for Western United. But what do you think?
I like it, to be honest. Yeah, it's all white. I think the green and the black down the middle at least give it some form of colour. You know, similar to the Newcastle away one where it stops it from being just all white. I like the sort of graffiti look on the stripes as well, as, you know, something a little bit different. One thing, so one of your criticisms was that it doesn't identify with Melbourne, right? Well, apparently when they released the kit, though, it says the away is inspired by the West urban and street art culture. The design features centered single graffiti-like black and green stripes, which reference the club's traditional stripes in a modern, youthful interpretation. And that description is absolutely trash. I'm just
That's-
like, what? Like,
Someone putting
I don't get it.
their bachelors of marketing to full effect. Look, I'm going to give it an 8. I know I sounded critical. It's better than their home kit, so I'll give it another point.
I'll give it an 8 as well. I think
Yeah.
it's good, but I hate that description. Like, oh yeah, inspired by urban and street art culture. And I think it was like when they first released their logo, they said that like, what is it? The top of the W, it's meant to represent like the houses in the west of Melbourne. And you're like, what on earth? Like it just seems like too much PR speak. So if I hadn't read that, I would have given a 9, but having heard that, I'm like, well, that sounds crap. So 8 it is.
So we actually have, you don't know this, that should have been the end of our list, but I've got a secret kit, Bran, a final kit to rule them all. And we're going to have a jump in and have a look at it now. It is brought to us by RQ, the French Island Football Association kit for when we do eventually make the A-League. And we're going to try and sneak this one in as being, you know, potentially the next kit that we might see. But what are some of your thoughts on this offering if it does become available relatively soon?
Dead set banger. Just give it to me. How much is that? I don't care. I love it. I think it's good. I think it's great. That's our kit, baby.
So they are on the way, right? We are getting some. And if people like you, I'll probably hook you up with one, but if people want to go into the draw to win their own version of this kit, you can support us over on Patreon. It's only $1. You can support us. Just give us that $1 a month. You'll get access to a whole bunch of different fantastic content, some exclusive stuff, the ability to contribute to the podcast. You'll get your name read out, all that sort of stuff. And in Christmas, we're going to give away potentially 2 versions of this kit if we've got them ready and available in your size. But I've gone with a perfect 10 as well, Branson. And I look at how perfect that circle is, and I did it backwards. Isn't that amazing?
That's great. It's good. I love the Spew kit. The Spew kit is the most iconic. We've got Spew kit vibes in there. It looks great. The black stands out. Jeez, love the colours. Can't get any better. Like dead set.
And thanks to RQ for putting that one together for us. And if you're from Parks Victoria, please don't sue us. We don't have any money. That is the highest average scoring kit, a perfect 10 across the board. But we do have to give a bit of a shout out and a bit of credit to, we're going to jump back up to them on the page, Brisbane Roar, who cumulatively across their 3 kits had a higher score of 96. Now, I know some people are probably going to figure it out. If you only released 2 kits, you had a lesser score. But they also had the highest average kit. All 3 of their kits average 16 points. So they get the award as the best kit offering this season. Again, maybe if we had have reviewed this towards the end of the list, I might have been a little bit more critical of it, but they are all solid, and I think they'll all look good out there on the pitch. If this this away kit has yellow or orange shorts, I will lose my shit, and that will be fantastic. But we'll see how that plays out as the season goes. I'm sure they will happily take that award, and Brisbane fans will be happy in the comment section below. But any we got wrong, any we got right, any you think we underrated, overrated, whatever else, let us know in the comment section below. Let us know your own kit ratings. We'd love to see them, and hit us up on Twitter if you think we've got anything horrifically wrong. So, Branson, that brings us to the end of another particular week. I say another particular week. It's the first one ever, episode 1. We've got huge stuff coming up in the next few weeks as far as the A-League is concerned. We've got season previews for all clubs coming up in the next few weeks, starting next Friday. We've got giveaways and stuff over on Patreon. Go and check out those links in the description below. Go and check out our Twitter handles, which are on the screen as we speak right now. Branson, I cannot wait to continue this French Island journey with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Anything that you want to kind of close off with before we head off?
Oh, just that I'm excited to be here, mate. We've got a big season ahead, lots to cover off. Let us know in the comments as well the kind of stuff you want to hear as well. You know, we're a podcast for the people, so if there's certain topics, certain segments that you think we should cover off, make sure to let us know. And yeah, mate, I'm just excited to be here. Looking forward to a big year of vacationing on French Island and talking about football on the side.
I'm going to look so tan 3 weeks from now if we keep hanging out on the beach like this. I'm going to figure out a way to get behind us as well, like stop motion, so that it looks like the water's moving, but that's something that we'll have to talk about next week. If you do want to support us, go and check us out on Twitter at The Other FIFA. We are, of course, on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching right now, and Spotify at The Other FIFA as well, and at Patreon at The Other FIFA, where you can support us a little bit further. It's only $1 a month. That's all we ask for, and you'll get some access to some fantastic content and the opportunity to win one of those kits that we spoke about earlier. But, as always, this has been Branson Gibson. I've been Sean Matheson. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the island.